The first spark of arrogance. The Xyrex Dominion prided itself on centuries of conquest. Entire star clusters bent their knee to the Dominion's banners, their fleets moving like storms across the void. When the Xyrex encountered a small human colony orbiting Tau Ceti, they saw nothing but another weakling species to break. The Xyrex High Admiral, Korth Vale, ordered the attack without hesitation. 10 warcruisers descended upon the colony like vultures. Human civilians had little more than orbital tugs, atmospheric shuttles, and outdated planetary defenses. They resisted, of course. Humans always resisted, but resistance was nothing but amusement to Xyrex commanders. The Xyrex slaughtered them slowly. They disabled life support domes, forcing colonists to watch as oxygen bled into the void. They broadcast the executions of captured human envoys across Dominion channels, laughing as the humans begged not for themselves, but for their children. When the smoke cleared, 200,000 colonists were dead. The Xyrex left their bodies drifting in frozen silence, convinced they had delivered a warning. They were right, but not in the way they thought. The mockery of empires. Across Xyrex space, generals toasted their victory. Humans, they jeered, cling to fragile shells of glass and steel. They breed like vermin, but vermin cannot wage war. Scholars of the Dominion wrote essays declaring humanity's soft, sentimental nature unfit for galactic struggle. They mocked the Earth Alliance for its endless debates, its councils, its diplomacy. They pointed at Earth's refusal to expand recklessly, at its careful alliances, and they concluded, this species fears war. Dominion warlords joked that humans would send letters of protest, perhaps sanctions, perhaps pitiful raiding fleets. They laughed as they showed recordings of human songs, art, and laughter, calling them the works of children. In their arrogance, the Xyrex mistook patience for weakness. They mistook restraint for cowardice. They mistook silence for surrender. And in doing so, they signed their own death warrants. The silence before the storm. For 6 weeks, Earth said nothing. No grand speeches, no declarations of war. The galaxy mistook this for paralysis. But beneath the quiet, the gears of vengeance began to turn. In the cold halls of Lunar Command, admirals spoke in whispers. Mars shipyards, long thought dedicated to peaceful exploration, closed their gates to all but Terran vessels. Convoys of materials vanished into the asteroid belt, never to be seen again. And in the void beyond Neptune, long silent stations powered up, drawing energy until their cores glowed like suns. When the first human response came, it was not a fleet, it was a voice. The Xyrex border outpost of Garin Prime received a transmission across every frequency. You have taken children, you have mocked our dead, the patience of Earth is over, the storm begins. The Xyrex laughed, until the stars themselves vanished behind steel. The rise of the human war machine. The Xyrex looked outward and saw the impossible. From the void, human fleets emerged. Not a few ships, not a token squadron. Hundreds of vessels, black-hulled and silent, sliding forward in perfect formation. The Xyrex scanners reeled. These were not exploration craft. They were dreadnoughts miles long, bristling with weapons that bent physics. Ships painted not with names but with warnings, vengeance, silence, no mercy, remember Tau Ceti. Every human ship was scarred, brutalist, stripped of elegance. These were not fleets built to conquer. They were fleets built to annihilate. The Xyrex outpost commander stammered for reinforcements. None arrived, because every Xyrex reinforcement fleet that launched was met by another wall of human warships. Earth had not been building one fleet, it had been building dozens. For centuries, Humanity had hidden its true strength behind treaties, behind exploration, behind diplomacy. The Zyrex had mistaken the mask for the face. Now the mask was gone. The first blows of madness. The Zyrex prepared their defenses, confident their numbers could withstand any foe. But when the first human weapons fired, confidence turned to horror. Human rail cannons did not simply pierce ships, they split them in half, burning through kilometers of alloy with singularity-laced rounds. Plasma torpedoes detonated with the force of collapsing stars, shattering fleets before they even reached firing range. But it was not the weapons alone that terrified the Zyrex. It was the humans themselves. When boarding actions began, Zyrex defenders expected Marines with fear in their eyes. Instead, they met soldiers who painted their armor with the names of the Tau Ceti dead. Soldiers who screamed battle hymns as they charged. Soldiers who laughed, as they carved through Zyrex corridors, fighting with knives when their guns ran dry. Zyrex prisoners begged to understand. Why do you fight like this? Why throw yourselves into death with such fury? The humans answered, because you taught us to. The collapse of Dominion certainty. Within weeks, Zyrex strongholds began to fall. Entire systems went dark. Human fleets advanced not like conquerors but like executioners. They did not pause to occupy worlds. They reduced fortresses to rubble, shattered fleets into drifting wreckage, burned supply lines until the Dominion starved in its own territory. The Dominion High Council demanded to know the human strategy. Analysts tried to explain, but their words faltered. This was not war as the galaxy knew it. Humanity did not fight for territory. It fought for memory. Every human action was driven not by resource, not by conquest, but by vengeance measured in blood. To the Zyrex it looked like madness. Suicide runs, fleets pushing past supply limits, soldiers refusing retreat even when surrounded. But what the Zyrex called insanity, humanity called resolve. And for every human that fell, 10 Zyrex died. The great inferno of retaliation. Then came the turning point. Humanity unveiled weapons the galaxy had only whispered about. At the Battle of Drosk 4, human ships aligned in silence. From their cores, they unleashed a barrage of energy so vast it bent gravity itself. Entire Zyrex armadas simply ceased to exist, converted to incandescent dust in less than a second. At the Siege of Valtrak, humans deployed ash squads. Soldiers clad in armor impervious to Zyrex fire, carrying flamethrowers that burned even in vacuum. They descended upon Zyrex cities, leaving only shadows on the walls. And at the final push into Zyrex Prime, humanity did not strike with fleets alone. They dropped kinetic rods, city killers, that hit with the fury of asteroids, ripping oceans into boiling clouds and mountains into molten rivers. The Zyrex screamed that no rational species would fight this way. No rational species would scorch whole worlds in answer to one colony. No rational species would gamble its fleets on vengeance instead of strategy. They were right. Humanity was not rational. Humanity was furious. The fall of the Zyrex Dominion. The war lasted 6 months. In that time, the Dominion lost what had taken them 5 centuries to build. Planet by planet, fortress by fortress, the Zyrex watched their empire unravel under the relentless tide of human wrath. In the final broadcast of Zyrex Prime, the High Admiral Korth Vale, once so proud, fell to his knees as human dreadnoughts orbited overhead, their shadows blotting out the sun. His last words, captured and spread across the galaxy, were simple. They are insane, and the stars will never be safe from them. Moments later, Zyrex Prime burned. The silence after the fire. When it was over, the galaxy held its breath. Entire sectors lay in ruin. The Xyrich's dominion was gone, reduced to ashes, survivors scattered as refugees. Human fleets, their hulls scarred and blackened, withdrew without fanfare. They did not claim the worlds they burned. They did not demand tribute. They left behind nothing but silence and the memory of fire. Across alien worlds, whispers spread. Never provoke Earth again. Never wake their wrath. Never forget Tau Ceti. Because if humanity had shown anything, it was this. Their patience was vast, their civility genuine, their restraint real. But once that restraint was broken, once patience was spent, humanity revealed the truth. They were not conquerors. They were not diplomats. They were vengeance made flesh. The lesson written in ashes. Generations later, alien children would ask their elders why so many stars in Xyrich's space remained lifeless ruins. The elders would answer in hushed voices. Because once, the Xyrichs mocked humanity, and humanity reminded us what madness truly is. Some tried to soften the story, to call humanity's retaliation excessive, irrational, savage. But in the hearts of those who remembered, another truth endured. Humanity was not insane. Humanity was human, and that was enough to terrify the galaxy forever.